Hello and welcome to my final presentation on the kidnapping of Shin Song-uk and Chae Song-hee. This is a kidnapping that occurred in the 1980s by the North Korean government of two North Korean film stars that were then forced to create films for the North Korean government and Kim Jong-il. First, we will discuss the North Koreans and the perpetrators of this action. So, the perpetrator was the North Korean Supreme Leader Kim Jong-il, who had a passion for filmmaking, and as his father's reign was ending, his reign was starting to begin, and he was looking for ways to legitimize himself as the next Supreme Leader of the country. And that would eventually lead him to kidnapping these two individuals. The first individual he kidnapped was Choi Yun-hee, Shui Yun-hee. She divorced her husband in 1976 when she found out that he had had an extramarital affair and fathered two children out of wedlock. Shortly after this, her career fell off, and in 1978 she was contacted by two North Korean spies claiming to be Hong Kongers looking to start a film studio with her. And the ultimate goal of this kidnapping would be to collect her husband as well and have them star in films in North Korea. Once she arrived in Hong Kong, she was kidnapped by the North Korean operatives and exfiltrated to North Korea. The second victim was Shin Song-uk. He, in the 1970s, began to chafe against South Korean government censorship of his films. In 1976, his wife divorced him after he fathered two children out of wedlock. In 1978, the South Korean government closed his studio because he could not comply with censorship law. After Choi was kidnapped, Shin began searching for her, and in 1978, he also was kidnapped by North Korean operatives in Hong Kong. Their early days in North Korea. Initially, the two were not told of each other and were treated well. However, after two attempts to escape, Shin Song-uk ended up in North Korean prisons for 2 years. And after those 2 years were up, the couple were invited to a dinner party where they were surprised to learn of each other's presence. After this, Kim Jong-il requested that they be remarried and propositioned the couple to make North Korean films for him. North Korean films production and culture. The North Koreans actually seem to give the couple creative freedom more so than the South Korean government did. And this was something that Choi Yun-hee said after she was freed. While they were there, they produced and acted in at least 5 films. The first film was Runaway. A local family is saved from the Japanese occupation by Kim Il-sung's guerrillas. Next was Love, Love, My Love. A couple marries in secret, and a despot tries to marry the wife, and the husband returns to the small town just in time to save his wife. Salt was a North Korean film about a mother who accepts her son for joining Kim Il-sung's guerrillas. The next film they made was The Tale of Shim-chong, which was adapted from a North Korean folk tale about filial piety. Finally, the last film I was able to dig up that they produced was Bolsagari, which is a North Korean Godzilla film based off of a Korean folktale about a creature that eats iron. Escape and international travel. Kim Il-sung was very excited about having these two in North Korea and wanted to parade them around and make it look like they had chosen to come to North Korea and not like they had been forced to. So he took them all over the Soviet bloc and let them talk about movies. Eventually, Jong-il requested that they go to Austria and meet with a potential donor for another movie he wanted to make about Genghis Khan. However, when they met the donor, they asked the security guards to leave them so they could speak in private, and immediately explained to the donor that they were under duress and had to escape. So the donor got them a taxi, and they all raced to the United States Embassy, where they got stuck in traffic and had a foot race inside the building and successfully escaped before the North Korean guards could catch up to them. Life after North Korea. After North Korea, they moved to Reston, Virginia, where they were interviewed by the CIA and placed under house arrest. In 1988, they relocated to LA, where Shin worked under the pseudonym Simon Shin. He continued to direct and produce movies. In 1994, Shin and Choi moved back to South Korea. They were initially hesitant to do this because Shin believed that the South Koreans would really think that they chose to go to North Korea and were not kidnapped. And in 1994, Shin was also nominated for the Cannes Film Festival as a jury member. In 2004, Shin directed his last film, The Story of Winter, which remains unreleased. And in 2004, Shin died of liver cancer complications. And in 2018, Choi died in the hospital. This was a story that I personally think is fascinating, of infidelity, of love, of coming back together under duress, of making things work when it seems like nothing's going to work, and ultimately of escape. I also think it's very interesting that the couple stayed married after North Korea, which implies that somewhere along the way, Choi was able to forgive her husband for his infidelity. That's all I have for today. Thank you for listening to my final presentation, and I hope you found the story as interesting as I did. Thank you for your time.